when I watch you on your videos, I've seen you speak on stage. You've got this freaking confidence about you. This polished confidence, I would say. I call it. It's almost like, dude, you'll talk to anyone like you're just confident. Where do you get that confidence from?
Where do I get that confidence from? The confidence comes from knowing I have no games to play against you. I don't have any games. I don't have any motives. I don't want anything from you. I'm not trying to take anything away from you. So because I'm not coming from a place of trying to manipulate the situation, et cetera, and I trust myself because that's been my track record with the people that do business with me, I have nothing to hide. So, that's probably one of the biggest things. My dad, everybody's parents teach them different things. Some of them say stay close to God. Some of them say respect women. Some of them say work hard. A lot of different things. My dad always said, never be afraid of the truth. I mean, Brad, I got to tell you, he told me this 1 billion times. Never be afraid of the truth. Never be afraid of the truth. Never be afraid of the truth. So today with my kids, I have boys, and I'm not the one that's soft with my boys. I think boys needs to be pushed around a little bit by their fathers. Now, my daughter's a complete different story, and that's her mother's job, not my job. I play a different role with my daughter. But with my boys, we have a rule. If you lie, you get 3 papaos. If you tell the truth, you don't get any papaos. So you simply get in trouble and you have a conversation with me, but you're not getting nothing that's going to happen to you if you tell the truth. So from a young age, they're being trained to not be afraid of the truth. And I think if you live it that way, now this doesn't mean that I don't exaggerate or I don't do this, because in sales, sometimes I'm not trying to paint myself as this flawless, picture perfect guy that, walks on water, not at all. But I'm not afraid of a lot. I'm not afraid of much of my past, my flaws, my insecurities. I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah, I always assumed, just watching you, like it is because you read a lot. It's like once you have this certainty or you're well read, I believe that kind of gives you a certain air of confidence where you can intellectually keep up with pretty much anybody.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well, that reading gives you a lot of that, but you can read. I think I read it somewhere that when you read, you will get to a point that you can manipulate others to get what you want. And if you get to that point, you can abuse your power. And a lot of people do. You know how it is. Once you learn the words, you can really use them to get anything and everything you want. But then if you learn to persuade and you realize that you'd love to have somebody like you in business with yourself, and you get to that point where you're pretty confident about it, I think now you have a weapon, which is knowledge and information. And at the same time, coming from a good place, you feel pretty confident to impose yourself and have conversations with others. That doesn't mean I don't, it's funny. I'm a Christian. I consider myself a Christian, but I'm probably the Christian that pastor sits there and says, why do you question everything? I said, listen, man, it's my wiring. What do you want me to do? I was a kid that grew up in Iran. We got bombed all the time. I got kicked out of Sunday school because the teacher would tell my dad and my mom, your son questions everything about God. He confuses the other kids. I was an atheist for 25 years of my life. I'm always questioning things. I'm always asking because I want to learn more. And I think that a little bit of the confidence with a little bit of knowing the fact that you don't have 100%, like when you talk to an atheist and the debate goes to, how do you know there's not a God? Like agnostic argument, I get, which is what? I think there's a God. I just don't know what it is. Fair, fully get it. But when you talk to an atheist and an atheist says, there is no God, 100%. Then you follow up and you ask a question and say, John, you seem very confident. I am. Out of all the information in the world, how much of the entire information in the world do you think you know? You're a pretty educated guy. Let's just say you got a PhD, doctor, MBA, all these other things. How much of every single information on Wikipedia, dictionary, inside, how much of it you think you know? 50%, 5%, 10%? I think I know 15%. Don't you think a part of the other 85% could convince you that maybe God exists? No, that's arrogant. So that's an arrogant argument. You can take that argument. So for me, there's always an out, like maybe I am wrong with a part of this argument. Please convince me. Let's have that debate and go back and forth. But there's also certain things that are confidence because it's based on track record and those are your values and principles. But everything here is there's an element of wanting to have a nice friendly debate to see if there's another way of seeing it. Ask my dad and my sister. Okay, if you ask my dad, I did a live Instagram live with my dad on his birthday, and he finally agreed. He never wanted to do it. Finally, he agreed to do a live, and we had fun together. It's on one of my YouTube channels. But he's finally agreed to do an interview. He's willing to sit down here. He keeps pushing back, but I'm trying to get him to finally agree to do this. My dad would tell you, I was probably the shyest kid in school, very shy. I was a shy kid. I would always hide behind my dad's leg. I was that kid. There was this, people would make fun of me because I would always go like this. This was a sign when I was shy. My head would go down and I would do one of these things. Everybody knew those, mannerisms that Pat had. But we went to Germany and my parents got a divorce. That's the best thing that happened to me. Here's why. In Germany, at that refugee camp, I didn't have a father figure, and I was with my sister and my mom. My sister's 6 years older than me. And at that event in Germany, for that year and a half that I was there, I had no choice. My back was against the wall, and you kind of had to realize that, look, for 10 years, you lived with a man in your household that's protected you. He ain't here anymore. And you're in a country where you don't speak the language. You're living at a refugee camp with people from Yugoslavia at that time, Poland, Czech, all these other people, Albania, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and you're all together. It's pretty ugly. It's not a, beautiful situation. I learned very quickly that you cannot be naive. The world isn't perfect. I tell my son, I said, Dylan, almost everybody likes you. He says, Dad, you mean some people don't like me? I said, of course, not everybody's going to like you, but almost everybody likes you. So, Daddy, you don't think everybody likes you? I said, oh, buddy, I promise you more people like you than they like me. A lot of people don't like me, and that's okay. Why don't people like you? I said, we have to learn that. I learned that in Germany. Not everybody wants the best for you, and that's okay. You can't be naive in the marketplace. So that kind of made me a little bit tough to realize, hey, be a little bit careful before you do business with anybody. Be a little bit careful because you get a guy to be too comfortable with your sister. Be a little bit careful before a man comes into your household and it's your mom and your sister there. Keep your eye out. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to play video games. If a man comes in your household, turn off the video game, go sit right next to your mom and just watch the man, see why he's here. That lens kind of gave that protection, right? And then we came to the States and I was bodybuilding. Bodybuilding gave me a lot of confidence because it was the one thing in my life that I succeeded in. I never played organized sports. Keep in mind, I'm 6'4" and a half, 245. I've never played organized sports. I've never had a jersey, Brad. I've never, ever had a jersey. I ran fast. I would bench press 2 plates at 16 years old, but I've never been part of any football. I was never a tight end. I was never a power forward. I was never a first baseman. I was never a left fielder. I never tracked, nothing. Right after school, I would go to Haagen-Dazs, and I had a job at 3:30, and I lied on my age because they believed I was 16 because I was tall. And Elaine hired me, the owner of this Haagen-Dazs at Glendale Galleria. So then I went to the Army. When I went in the Army, I finished boot camp. And then I got out of boot camp and I kind of started getting a little bit confidence because the unit, I'm like, listen, this is, you can hang with other personalities. You can hang with people from Mississippi, Alabama, New York. And I started pulling from all these other places. And then a kid named Kogan Alaverdian called me one day and he said, Pat, you're the Middle Eastern Will Smith. You need to get out of the Army. I said, I'm going to do Army 20 years. This is it. This is my life. This is the best decision I made. He says, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. I said, I'm staying in. And I got out of the Army, started working at Bally's, learned how to sell. Then I got into financial services industry a day before 9/11. And then Brad, the moment I got results in financial services and I realized I had confidence as a Series 7, 66, 31, 26 life and up as a guy that could sell, then I said, okay, now you can make $250,000. What do you want to do with this skill set now? And how big do you want to go? So there comes a time you could be confident and only make 80 grand a year. You could be, I know confident people making 50 grand a year. I know confident people making $95,000 a year. So confidence is one element, but then how big do you think? So now how big you think, the next step is for you to go out there and say, you know what? I need an opponent. I need to see how big is your spirit? How big is your courage? So I went to Arizona. This one guy was speaking. He was the number one guy in that company at the time. Everybody was afraid of him. I went to Arizona. I waited for this guy to finish the meeting. I was 25, 26 years old. And he got out of the meeting. I said, can I get a minute with you? He said, yes. I said, I have to tell you this for me. It's not for you. I have to tell it to you for me. He says, what's that? I said, I will build a business 100 times bigger than you, and you will never be as big as me. I said this to him. Okay, now very arrogant, very cocky, but it wasn't for him. He snapped. And at this point of the game, I have no moral authority to say anything to this guy. He's crushing me at this time. But I did it for me to see if I can hang in the ring. You're going to get scared. You're going to shiver. Are you going to be like a chicken? Let's see how tough you are, Mr. Bad Guy. Come here, Mr. Tough Guy, Patrick Bet-David. Face this guy and see if you're scared. Then I was like, oh my gosh, this was too much. I shouldn't have done it. I went on the plane. Why'd you say this? Are you out of your mind now? You have to deliver. What if you don't? Anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. And then I said, what the hell is wrong with you, man? Let's go fight. What do you mean you're afraid? You don't need to be afraid of this. That's when I came with the formula. 4 steps. And Brad, this changed my life. These 4 steps. The formula for me was the following. Almost everybody will tell you what? You got to work hard. It's not enough. It's not enough. You can outwork and you still won't be the best. Second one, you got to out-improve. That's great, but it's not enough. So you got those that only outwork, but they don't out-improve. They still rely on the 19 books that they read, Think and Grow Rich, Laws of Success, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, How to Win Friends and Influence, the same 19 books that everybody reads, right? They stop growing. So what if you do outwork and what if you do out-improve? That's not enough. What do you need outside of that? You need to out-strategize. How do I get strategies? Well, that takes a little bit of time. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of mix. It's like cooking. You got to mix the sauce and the comp structure and philosophies and a script added with this and the timing and a season and a month. These are all strategies on how you do those together. And then that's not enough because there's a last one. What's the last one? The last one will take a long time to find out. The last one is called outlast. Most people are not going to last. So the confidence for me, Brad, came from knowing I dare you to outlast me. I dare you to outlast me. And that was a mindset. I know to most people, this kind of sounds like, this guy sounds like he's full of himself. I'm just giving you my formula. Once I realize I'm not going to stop, as long as God keeps me healthy, I'm not going to stop, then you have to make sure you outlast me. If you do, I salute you and I respect you.